Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George, or all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. The US bell is about to ring, and unfortunately, we have some more FUD. This time around another bank, Credit Suisse, however you pronounce it. But what does that mean? This comes a day right after crypto bank Silvergate declares it's shutting its doors. So, do we have more of this coming? Well, let's talk about it, and let's talk about what's going on with Bitcoin and crypto as well. So, good morning, guys. Welcome. You know, this morning's actually going to be in the green, I think. Look at that. I mean, so far, U.S. markets, the futures market is indicating green, but of course, this is no good. This is the headline news, and there's the market bell. And the reason why this is important is we know Credit Suisse has been in trouble for quite some time. In fact, they just declared last month that they lost a whole bunch of money, way more than expected. We're talking about billions. And now they delay their annual report because they claim they got a call from the SEC. There's some discrepancies that Gary does not like. So that's why they're delaying their annual report. But you know who just delayed their annual report? Silvergate. Silvergate delayed their annual report, and that's when things went downhill really quickly. So does this mean that Credit Suisse is going to follow and shut down? I don't know. It's too early to make that call. But what I do know is this. Bitcoin was created because of distrust in banks, okay? See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that most people don't realize or understand or refuse to believe. You look at a bank like Credit Suisse, or you look at a bank like Bank of America, or you look at a bank like JP Morgan, right? These banks have been operating for over 100 years. So you figure these guys must really know, right? They must really know what they're doing. They have to be the smartest financial guys on earth, right? To work at these banks. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Banks have failed one after another over time, and a lot of them don't fail because they are bailed out. Unlike a real company, when they have problems, they shut down, right? But the banks, especially the large ones, they do not close down because they're deemed too big to fail, right? So I found this article. This is interesting. It was written in 2015, right? I think a lot of us remember what happened in 2008 when all the banks were failing left and right, one after another. And at that time, there was a TARP bailout of $700 billion, which was at the time the biggest bailout the Fed has ever given out, right? It seems like it's nothing compared to today, because look at how much money was printed the last few years, right? But it turns out that's wrong. It turns out secretly, Bernanke was giving out these banks like secret loans, and a lot of it was not disclosed. So people thought it was just $700 billion, but it turns out it was actually $7.7 trillion, okay? Which may be the reason why Powell and everyone else, thinks that, a few billion here or there is no big deal, because it turned out the U.S. government has done this before, right? I mean, it's shocking. It's shocking how much money is being printed and given out. Yeah. But anyways, going back to my point is this. Most people think that the banks are trustworthy. They're smart. They know how to handle your money. They will never get in trouble, right? But that's far from it. We have seen banks go under, and we have seen banks get bailed out one after another, time and time again, right? Because they're deemed too large to fail. But here's the real kicker. The biggest banks on earth, the Federal Reserve and the central banks out there, they're doing the same thing. except they don't need to bail out. They don't need to bail themselves out because they have a money printer, because that money printer can print as much money as they need. So that's the irony, right? That the central banks actually need bailouts too. But, who's going to bail out the central banks? No one, right? So they don't need to bail out themselves. They just print more money. And that's why we have inflation problems. I can only laugh at that. It's not funny, but I can only laugh at that because that's really how it operates. Anyways, going back to Bitcoin, this is why Bitcoin was invented, why Satoshi created Bitcoin after the 2008 financial crisis. Bitcoin was released in 2009, and look at how far it has come. I mean, this is the exact reason why Bitcoin was created, because Satoshi got sick of waiting for the financial system to get better, because he or she or the group knew that it wasn't ever. It was never going to be fixed. We need to create something better. All right, so want to start with that. Also, this morning, we got some jobless claim numbers, right? Basically, people claiming unemployment, and it has shot up. It has shot up a lot. The funny thing is, with something like this being bad economic news, the market is green. So last week, it was 190,000 people that claimed unemployment. Forecast for this week is 195, and we blew past that to 211,000. That's not a good number, right? We wanted to go below, but somehow, weakness or softening with the labor market and unemployment going up is seen as a good thing because it makes Powell be more dovish, right? I mean, it's just really bad if you think about it. That should not be the way things are, but it is. But it is, unfortunately. There's still a lot of fear out there. So you look at like Treasury bond yields, right? The 6 month is sky high at 5.34. The highest has been since 2006 and all the way even higher than 2008 crisis. That's how fearful people are right now, right? And the same thing with the 2-year bond, the 10-year bond. They're all sky high right now. It's insane how much people are flocking to dollars right now, despite the fact the central bank can print as many dollars as they want to infinitely and inflate it to nothing, right? But here's the good news. This is what it looks like. This is a nice chart that let me remove my camera here. Here's a nice chart showing this is comparing Bitcoin to the 2-year bond yield. Right, and you can see, and during certain periods of time when people are flocking out of the dollar, that money goes somewhere, and in a lot of cases, it goes into Bitcoin, right? Not just Bitcoin, but stocks and equities and stuff like that. But you could see though, last few times that the 2-year yield dropped significantly. What happened with Bitcoin went up significantly, right? So that is what we have to look forward to when people finally realize that, getting 5% yield on bonds doesn't hedge against inflation. In fact, you're still losing out against inflation, and you're still losing your buying power. People will opt for something better, right? The only way to truly win against inflation in the long run is to hold on to an asset that outperforms inflation, right? And that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset in that regards for the last 10 years. So that is what we have to look forward to. What else is there? Well, unfortunately, some of the weakness for Bitcoin that we have seen recently, experienced, a lot of it is due to liquidations. I mean, I've been telling you guys, be careful with liquidations. Be careful when you throw on that 10x or 20x long. You think it's a sure thing, but it's really never a sure thing. So you could see over the last day or two, all these green are long liquidations, right? Long liquidations are no good, and hate to see people just get wrecked like that, right? We want to see more red bars. We want to see more short liquidations, not long liquidations. Yeah, my internet was cutting out a little bit. Gary seems to be hacking my internet a lot these days. But anyways, well, my point is this: be careful, okay? Who wins when you play with liquidations? I mean, when you play with leverage and you get liquidated, the exchanges do. They win regardless, okay? So just keep that in mind. Once you get liquidated, there's no coming back from it, right? So there's that, and also, I guess this is good news. A lot of people, I see a lot of videos on TikTok. People are saying, "Oh, watch out!" Right? MtGox will push all this Bitcoin this week. I don't think people realize this is just a registration. This is not actually repayment. Okay, so the registration was supposed to end tomorrow, meaning you're supposed to register and tell MtGox how much Bitcoin you want to get back, or if you want it in cash, whatever, right? But that repayment schedule has been pushed back to April 10th, right? But repayment doesn't start until now October. It was September. Now it's October, right? So there will be nothing being released or given out until October of this year. But I have seen a tremendous amount of videos from guys, especially on TikTok, saying, Bitcoiners, watch out, or if you're holding on Bitcoin, watch out. There's going to be 150,000 being released. No, it's not. Okay, not right now, not tomorrow, not next month. It will be sometime in October, right? And good thing is, some of the biggest creditors have opted to just take their entire amount in Bitcoin. They didn't opt to take it in cash, which would force the creditor or the trustee to sell. No, most of them are taking it in Bitcoin, right? Why would you want to take in cash right now while Bitcoin is recovering from bottom? And the good thing is about this being given out in October is because obviously we're much closer to the next halving event, right? The price should be more stable and higher and on its way up. So even if there is a lot of people that do choose to sell, the market will be able to cover it or eat it up, right? So that is, I guess, good, and also want to clarify some misconceptions there. And as for Bitcoin and its current path right now, well, we got some good data. We have some things to look forward to. First of all, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, just the GBTC shares, has formed a bullish chart, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in this. Grayscale is on the verge of defeating the SEC. So, according to people familiar with this case, basically the SEC's reasoning why they won't approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, yet they will approve a futures Bitcoin ETF, is because they feel like spot market is more easy to manipulation than futures market. Which doesn't make any sense because the futures Bitcoin ETF follow Bitcoin spot pricing. So that doesn't make any sense. You know, the futures pricing can't be different than the spot pricing because it's based on Bitcoin, right? So basically, it sounds like Grayscale is going to win this lawsuit. However, it does not mean that the SEC is forced to approve a Bitcoin ETF. It just means that Gary has to come out with another excuse why they won't approve a Bitcoin ETF. It makes it harder on them, right? Or maybe Gary caves and says, okay, we will approve it, right? But this is basically trying to convert Grayscale's trust into a Grayscale Bitcoin ETF. And I think this will be absolutely huge once US finally gets an ETF or multiple ETFs based on spot Bitcoin. I think it will bring in a ton of liquidity, a ton of money. That's what we want. So that's also pretty bullish. And then, of course, I've shown many charts like this showing Bitcoin on its trajectory, right? The previous halving events, we're moving into the next one, right? Every single one, we seem to mimic the same path as before, right? And this one is no different. This is basically indicating we're about 385 days to the next halving, and all previous times, 385 days before, right? We're recovering from bottom. and then we start heading higher. And then by the time we get the halving event, we make a pretty good recovery. And then after the halving event, we go on a tremendous run. I don't think it's going to be any different this time around. And I think that's it. Two other news, not good news. Well, one is good, one is not so good. Swift is going to start their phase 2 pilot after finding value in CBDC. See, everyone's getting into crypto. Even companies we don't want to get into crypto, like Swift, or central banks come out with their digital dollars, right? But everyone's getting involved because this is the future. Blockchain ledgers, right? Settlement over the blockchain is just so much more efficient than what exists now. Even Swift knows that. So Swift wants to get in the game, right? They want to help banks move their CBDCs. And they also want to settle other things like securities, right? They're getting involved. They're going after what Ripple is trying to do with XRP, right? So I don't think this is a good thing, but it's going to happen. Every company on Earth, even the ones that we don't want to survive, they will be jumping in and utilizing some sort of crypto mechanics, I guess, in the future, right? Either blockchain for storage, or some kind of decentralized storage, or decentralized compute, or some kind of digital ID system, right? Or even utilizing stablecoins as CBDCs, digital currencies, or utilizing even something else like Lightning Network, right? These things are happening, and global adoption is a great thing. But unfortunately, some of these companies that we don't want to survive, they may, because they're adopting, which is smart of them. And then lastly, some Audius news. They have opened up NFT gating for exclusive artist access. So we haven't heard this as much. You know, NFTs, usually people think of it as pictures and stuff like that, but really you could add a whole lot of utility. You could use it for contracts, right? You could use it for exclusive things like airdrops or other exclusive NFTs, or even exclusive access to artists, right? So, or music or videos, whatever it may be. So they are working with Spotify with this. So no, they're not working with Spotify. I misread that. Spotify has come out with this. They are going after Spotify and competing with them. So, so good for Audius. All right, outside of that, the U.S. market is in green today. That's, you know how funny that is, that the U.S. market is in green after we get data that jobless claims went up and blew past expectations. Think about that. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up here. Alex says, I will never use leverage. That is smart. That is smart. You don't want to be joining these guys. Yeah, I don't know why my internet's been cutting in and out a lot recently. Let's see. Last chance to get XRP at low prices before the case ends, in my opinion. I do think that case will end in victory, but I don't know how imminent that is. If it's next week, next month, right? Or if it's 6 months from now. Don't know. Looking at Silvergate. Silvergate is still down 37%. Coinbase is down a little bit. Tesla is up slightly, but overall we're trending downwards for these stocks, which is no good. And of course, Silvergate. I did talk about Silvergate yesterday, causing more fear. Can I make Eye of the Tiger for my intro? No. A year ago, I mentioned that it would take at least 2 years to recover from 2020 to losses. You replied, that's what you think. Am I still wrong? 2 years? We're past 2 years. So I don't get your point. And here's the thing. Even if you are right, I don't know, maybe you just said that wrong or I misunderstood. No one likes no one likes, someone that says, oh, I told you so. Especially not me. All right. So pat yourself on the back. If you think you're super smart, then congrats, right? But nothing is more irritating than a person that comes back and says, oh, I told you so. Especially, no one could predict the future. No one could predict the future. We're all speculating. We're all guessing. We're putting the data together, right? If you're right, you're right. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. You move past it. Jake says, Arweave's looking like a nice data storage essential. I've said that about Arweave for a while. People ask me about Filecoin or Siacoin. For me, I think storage is Arweave. That's my go-to. Although Filecoin could be interesting after they come out their layer 2. If only there were an education video on XRP, I watch it over and over again. Ray, unfortunately, I alone hold the only copy of that educational video that you just mentioned. Dwight, large super chat. Particular number, $35, $34.99. Will Shibarium burn per transaction a percentage amount of the dollar amount? That's a good question that I can't answer. I don't know how Shibarium. Come on. This is really... I know they said they're going to burn billions, but in terms of how it works... Actually, the article doesn't cover it. So I don't know how it's going to be burned. Like you said, if it's per transaction, I think they're going to convert the bone that's used per transaction and whatever equivalency of that to SHIB will be burned. I think that's how, for me, that makes more sense, right? But I'm not sure if that's exactly the way it is, but I think it's equivalent. Like the bone used for transaction, you convert that to SHIB, that's how much SHIB will be burned. Or maybe at least a percentage of that. Dwight, I'm going to look into it. Okay, Jake. Hashi. Thoughts on Near? I think they have potential. They have potential. It's just early. They're kind of like a mini Solana at this point. So it's kind of how it is. Thoughts on why ETH is super stable? I think it's because everyone's waiting for the upgrade to happen. That should be next month. Basically, people are waiting to see what happens when unstaking occurs and whether people are going to dump their ETH or more people will start staking. I think that's the reason why it has been pretty stale. But pretty stale could be good because when things are coming down, it doesn't come down as quickly, right? Like if you look at ETH, how much has fallen this past week, it's a lot less than others, you know? So it fell down even less than Bitcoin this week, only 5%. So it goes both ways. Sometimes stability is good because you look at something like Solana's down like 15% today, this week. Avalanche down 10%. Cosmos down 11%, right? The reason being because they went up more last week, and now people are unfortunately selling them due to fears of Silvergate and other stuff, macro stuff. I'm a multi-hole coiner thanks to you. Eli, congratulations. Congratulations. Once you accumulate one, then you go to the second one. Then you go to the third one, right? So that's how the game is played. Jack, I think I've decided what I'm going to wear, but I just need a lot of outfits. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to bring a lot of it with me and take a huge luggage with me. But, you know, I'll wear some nice pair of shoes, put on some nice watches, nice sport coat, few pants, dress pants, jeans, and then some nice shirts and t-shirts, you know. I'll mix it up, but that's normally how I would dress anyway, so I'm not going to be different. Doge 256. Yeah, I know. Hard to ignore sometimes, but I appreciate that. How do you properly give your BTC to your descendants after we pass on? That's a good question. There are some crypto projects that do that supposedly, right? I've never tested it. I don't know how good they are, but supposedly they can lock up your crypto and release it after a certain amount of time, or you can I don't know if you just have to give a key or a phrase to your loved ones and they could recover it, something like that. But I think normal custody services or normal trust D services, right? Like I have a trust, right? And I've asked them about it. I think they can also hold it on for you, especially if you have like a USB stick or a ledger or something with your recovery phrase. You know, they could certainly give that to your loved ones after you pass away, but you just need to make sure that they know how to access things. Otherwise, it'd be pointless. Besides sheep, do I have another meme I'm bullish on? No. No. I'm not into memes. Okay? Memes are, I guess they serve their purpose. They bring a lot of people into space, but I want to see utility. And that's why I like sheep. Because they're creating utility. Whether they're successful at creating utility, it doesn't matter. At least they're trying. Not like Doge. Doge is doing absolutely nothing. All the guys, all they do is tweet all day long and wait for Elon to pump them, right? I mean, that's Doge. I don't know about others, maybe like Floki and all these other, maybe they're creating utility too, but I'm not paying attention. I think just paying attention to sheep is enough. But I like projects that have utility. Roulette wheel. I also want to know how sheep burn will happen on Shibarium. All right, for tonight, I'm going to find out for you guys. That's 2 big super chats and 2 people that want to know how sheep burning works. So I'll figure it out for tonight. I need a good tutorial on burning and why it happens and what it does for a coin. Just causes scarcity. Don't overthink it. Burning just removes it from circulation, which makes it scarcer. That's it. That's it. It's like taking your dollars out of your pocket and you go burn it in the backyard. It's removing dollars from circulation, right? Now, if everyone in the United States did that, it would actually counteract inflation because we're removing dollars from circulation, but no one's going to do that. But in crypto, it's a new concept called burning. You're just taking it out of circulation. That's it. Will I be at BTC Miami? I will be, actually. Still planning it out, but I went last year. Had a good time. I will be going this year. And, you know, hopefully I'll see some of you guys. Maybe attend a few parties. And hopefully the market will be better this year. Last year was just horrible, I think. I remember, well, it wasn't as, yeah, it was pretty bad. It was coming down. Like every time Bitcoin conference happens, Bitcoin somehow comes down, like Wall Street's doing it on purpose or something. So hopefully it won't happen this year. Hopefully we actually get a good boost this year. Jan, that's exactly. I have a solution, but no one will listen. GM offers buyout to majority of U.S. salary workers and then cuts 500 salary workers. Okay. Hopefully that works out for GM. GM is really slow to the EV game, I'll tell you that. They're not going to have any of their EV stuff come out until 2024. So they are definitely behind the game on that. But you know, the Corvette is just outstanding. They just nailed it. Nailed it. How much of your net worth in percentage terms is in crypto? Liquid stuff, basically 100%. Non-liquid stuff, if you consider everything, maybe like, I don't know, 75% in crypto. But basically 100%. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Overall, today, more FUD around Credit Suisse. Are they going to follow Silvergate? But ultimately, why should we care, right? Well, number one, we should care because it causes more FUD. But number two is we should care because the banks can't be trusted. The banks make a lot of mistakes. And when they make a lot of mistakes, it costs billions to fix. And a lot of times they can't without a bailout. And that's exactly what happened in 2008 and probably what happened in the future, right? So that's why Bitcoin was created. That's why we all need to opt out of our current financial systems, which is built on a house of cards and operate like a Ponzi scheme. And we need to get into something better like Bitcoin. It's really that simple. All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one, guys. Bye.